Have you ever imagined the day when your green card journey could move forward without that nerve-wracking USCIS interview? For so many immigrants, that interview has always been one of the most stressful parts of the process. Hours of preparation, stacks of documents, and endless worry about every little detail. But now, something truly surprising is happening. The USCIS has started waiving interviews for certain green card applicants, and that includes spouses and parents of U.S. citizens. If you've been waiting for your adjustment of status interview, this news might feel almost too good to be true. You might be asking, why is USCIS doing this? Does it apply to me or someone I love? And what does it mean for my green card timeline? Don't worry, you're in the right place. In this video, we'll break down exactly what's happening, who qualifies for the interview waiver, and how this new trend could bring families together faster than ever before. But before we dive in, let's take a moment to acknowledge what this really means. Every immigrant has a story filled with patience, hope, and endless waiting for that one message from USCIS. And if you've been through that emotional roller coaster, you know it's not just about paperwork. It's about building a new life, reuniting with family, and finally feeling a sense of stability. This new USCIS policy could be a small but powerful step toward making that dream a little easier for many of us. So grab a cup of coffee, take a deep breath, and let's talk about this change calmly, clearly, and with all the facts you need. By the end of this video, you'll understand how this decision could affect you and your loved ones. And if you find this update helpful or it brings you a bit of hope today, please take a second to like this video. It helps our immigrant community stay informed and supported. You might have already seen a few people online talking about this. USCIS starting to waive interviews for certain family-based green card cases. And if you're hearing this for the first time, it can sound almost unbelievable. I mean, for years, the green card interview has been one of the biggest, most stressful steps in the process. Every couple and every family who's gone through it knows that feeling, sitting in that waiting room, trying to stay calm while your heart is racing, wondering if the officer will believe your story or ask that one question you didn't prepare for. But lately, things are changing. And not in some random, one-off kind of way. This is becoming a real trend. Many immigration attorneys and applicants are noticing that USCIS is quietly approving adjustment of status cases without calling people in for interviews, especially when the case looks clean, meaning everything adds up, all the documents are strong, and the relationship looks genuine. So, what's actually happening here? Why would USCIS skip such an important step? Well, it seems like part of this shift comes from the agency's goal to reduce backlogs and speed up family reunification. The pandemic created huge delays, and even after that, USCIS has been under pressure to move cases faster by waiving interviews in straightforward family cases, like a U.S. citizen sponsoring their spouse, parent, or sometimes even a child. They can free up officers to focus on more complex applications that really need that in-person review. And honestly, it kind of makes sense. If your case is well documented, marriage certificate, shared address, joint taxes, photos, financial evidence, and everything looks solid, why force a family to wait months longer just to repeat what's already on paper? Many officers have said that if they can clearly verify the legitimacy of the relationship through the documents, there's no need for an interview. Now, this doesn't mean that every case will be waived. Not at all. USCIS still has the discretion to require interviews if they see anything unclear or if they just want to double-check something. But what's exciting here is that many more families are getting approved straight from the paperwork, without that final in-person step. And that's something worth paying attention to. If you've ever gone through an interview or even just prepared for one, you know how intense it can be. Couples rehearse questions for days. Parents worry about language barriers. People lose sleep the night before, imagining what could go wrong. So hearing that your interview might be waived, that's like a huge wave of relief. It means maybe, just maybe, your green card could be approved faster and with less stress. Let's talk about what this looks like in real life. Imagine a couple, let's say Maria, a U.S. citizen, and her husband, David, who's applying for his green card through marriage. They've been married for a few years. They file their taxes together, share a lease, have joint accounts, and everything is properly documented. They send their application, get their receipts, go through biometrics, and then silence for months. Normally, they'd expect an interview notice next. But one day, Maria checks the USCIS case tracker and sees new card is being produced. No interview, no extra paperwork, just approval. For them, that one line changed everything. It meant stability, security, and the ability to plan their future without the fear of separation or uncertainty. And what's beautiful is that more and more families are sharing similar experiences online. Parents being approved without interviews, spouses finally receiving their cards after long delays. All because USCIS trusted the strength of their documentation. Now, if you're wondering whether your case might qualify for an interview waiver, there are a few factors that seem to play a role, though again, there's no official checklist. Typically, USCIS looks for applications that show a consistent story, clean background checks, and no red flags like missing forms, gaps in relationship evidence, or past visa violations. But even then, it's not something you can predict or request directly. It's really at the discretion of the officer reviewing your case. Still, it's worth thinking about what this trend says about where USCIS is heading. For years, immigration processes have been criticized for being too slow, too rigid, and too emotionally draining for families who are just trying to live together legally. This shift, even if it's gradual, feels like a step toward a more compassionate, efficient system. One that recognizes when a family's case is strong and doesn't need to be dragged through unnecessary steps. Of course, some people might still feel skeptical. They might ask, what if waiving the interview increases the risk of fraud? That's a fair question. But USCIS isn't skipping verification. They're just relying more heavily on the strength of written evidence and background checks. They're not approving blindly. They're simply prioritizing resources better. And honestly, for genuine families who've done everything right, that's a win. I think what makes this moment so powerful is how much hope it brings. Because for many of us, for immigrants who've been waiting, hoping, and sometimes feeling forgotten in the system, any positive change feels like light breaking through the clouds. It's a reminder that things can get better, that processes can evolve, and that maybe the government is starting to understand just how much these delays affect real people's lives. If you're watching this and your case is still pending, I want you to hold on to that hope, because even if your interview isn't waived, this shift means USCIS is actively working to speed things up. It means more families are being approved faster. And that's good news for everyone waiting in line. Also, if your interview does end up being scheduled, don't be discouraged. It doesn't mean something is wrong. Sometimes, it's just a matter of local office workload or random case selection. Just be prepared, stay calm, and remember, the interview is simply another step toward your dream, not an obstacle meant to stop you. And here's something really important to keep in mind. Even though this change is great, it's still super important to make your initial application as complete and organized as possible. Think of it like this: the stronger your file looks, the more confidence the officer has that your case doesn't need extra review. So when you're gathering your documents, put real care into it. Show your story clearly. Don't leave any doubt about your relationship or your eligibility. That way, if there's a chance your case could qualify for an interview waiver, you're ready for it. Now, as someone who's part of this immigrant journey myself, I know how personal all this feels. Every USCIS update isn't just a policy change. It's something that can shape your family's life. Maybe it means you can finally travel to see your loved ones. Maybe it means your parents can finally visit without worrying about overstaying. Or maybe it's the start of feeling like you belong here, that this country is truly becoming home. That's why I love making these videos, because information like this shouldn't feel cold or distant. It should feel empowering. It should make you feel less alone in the process. There are thousands of families going through the same waiting, the same anxiety, the same uncertainty, but also the same hope. And when we share that hope together, it becomes a little easier to carry. Before I wrap up, let me just say, if this video has helped you understand what's happening or even just gave you a bit of peace of mind, please give it a thumbs up. It might seem like a small thing, but it helps this community grow, helps more immigrants find the right information, and reminds you too that these stories matter. Every like, every comment, every share, it helps keep this space alive for all of us who are walking this journey together. And if you've personally experienced an interview waiver, maybe your case was approved faster than expected, I'd love to hear your story in the comments, because your experience could give someone else the hope they need to keep going. At the end of the day, this isn't just about USCIS policies or forms. It's about people. People who left everything behind to build a better life, who work hard, love deeply, and just want to be with their families. So whether your interview gets waived or not, remember, you're still moving forward. You're still building your future. And every step, no matter how small, is progress. So stay hopeful, stay patient, and stay connected, because big things are happening. And who knows? The next approval without an interview could be yours.